Welcome, dear viewers. Now let's continue working on our financial modeling. In our previous video, we have already prepared both P&L statement and the balance sheet. As you see here, on the P&L statement, we were working on the scenarios, yes, and on the switch box for scenarios. I think we are left with something here. Let's finish preparing the scenarios here. For example, when we select best case scenario, uh, how can we see the selected scenario here when we switch the scenarios, the options we have here? Because we have already selected here three scenarios: best case, base case, and worst case. So we have to indicate the selected case here. So I'm going to add one more row here, insert one more row, selected case, the one which we have already switched up on the on switch box. In the same way, I come here and enter one more. Not above calls. I would say yes, above calls. It's okay. It's okay above calls. Um, then selected, select the case for calls, and we can also correct this one, make it more clear for the audience. Calls as percent of, for you to easily understand it, and in the same way, OPEX as percent of revenue, and we also need the same selected case for OPEX. So I enter new row, selected case. Great. So we are going to see selected case for each one, for OPEX, for COGS, and for revenue in this row. Great. So let's also share this row, and let's have also space, free space under each uh, under each group here. Great. All right. So by now we have already finished the scenario setup, and then now we can go for setting the hypothesis for the coming uh, 5 years. One thing we forgot here is we can copy paste this formula to our forecast period here. Paste the special only formula. Okay, and then in the same way you can copy paste to others here. The same formula can be copy pasted here. I only need a formula here, so you can do this here in the same manner. Copy, paste special, only formula, so all the row to the all the years in the row. In the same way, copy, paste special, formulas only, and then final one, copy, right click, paste special, formulas, and then so interesting. Yeah, so now let's let's start hypothesizing for 5 years. As you have remembered, or as you have seen in our previous video, we have hidden element here which are already calculated, which shows the percentage variation from 2019 to 2020 and 2022 2021. So we have already done the forecast. I mean, we know the percentage change of revenue, so we don't need this for 2 years. We don't need this for 2 years. We don't need it for 2 years. I mean, for all these years, for these 2 years, yes. So I go to format cell here, format cells, fill in, and then from fill in you can we can select the pattern style. Let me select this one. So we're not going to work on this one. We're not going to work on this one because it's already the percentage change is already calculated. So what I'm going to do is the base case scenario from this change. If I if I take the average for these 3 years, the average is 2%. So now let's take 2% as best case scenario. Best case scenario, and we can make this entire present 2%. All right. So if you do like this, you see the average 2% for 3 years. So we take that 2% as the base case scenario, and the revenue grows in the worst case scenario, let's say 1%, and in the best case scenario 3%. So this will be the same for all years. It will be the same for all years. It will be the same for all years, for all 5 years. Great. And now let's go to calculate COGS as percentage of revenue. This is not calculated, so we need to calculate COGS as percentage to the revenue. So for 3 years, we need to calculate COGS as percentage to the revenue. And then we'll take the average one. We'll take the average one. All right. So we haven't calculated COGS as percentage of revenue for the historical data we have here for 2019 to 2021. These are our historical data. So let's calculate it. It's equal to calculate that percentage of COGS against the revenue. We simply divide revenue COGS by revenue in that given year divided by revenue. Here you have. Don't forget to fix this because we are going to copy paste this to down, and then by that time should not move. So you see here, in the same way, we can copy paste this down to here, the same value, and for 2019, I mean for 2020, we come here, and in the same manner we can calculate for all the years here. That's it. You see, you can check it if it is correct or not, double checking. COGS in 2020 divided by revenue in 2020 equal to how much? You see it is the same. So the formula works, and we already fixed it. Our row here, the column can move to 2020 and 2021. It doesn't matter. That's why we didn't fix the column. If we fix the column, it cannot take the value in this column and the value in this column. So we left our column flexible and fixed our row. That's why it's taking all the values in the columns and without changing the row. All right. So in the same manner, we can come here and calculate. Oh, let's change this to the percentage. You select all these and then go for a percent. That's it. Or you may, if you want to see one more uh, decimal, you just press on, click on it, click on here. All right. So now let's go to calculate OPEX as percentage of revenue. So to calculate OPEX as percentage of revenue, we divide operating expense or OPEX by revenue. So go to OPEX and divide by revenue. And don't forget to fix uh, the reference. It's very important when we uh, copy paste it to down. All right. So let's write it down. It's the same because it's not changing in this case, and because historical data, we cannot go back and then calculate the worst case and base case scenario and the best case scenario. This is historical data, so it gives us the same thing for that given year. So in the given year in 2019, all the three scenarios are the same. In 2020, the same three scenarios are the same. In 2021, the three scenarios are the same. Yeah, I think it makes sense in this way. So it should not necessarily be different for these three different scenarios in a given year. All right, I change it to percentage, one decimal digit. That's it. So now we can come to make a hypothesis for the coming 5 years, for the coming 5 years, based on this historical data. Interesting. Okay, now how can we start hypothesizing? For us to start hypothesizing, we may use different assumption, but we have this base from our uh, historical data for our last year. So from our last 3 years, so we make assumption or hypothesis based on these 3 years data. So, for example, what will be the best case scenario or base case scenario in this case? In the last 3 years, the least COGS is minus 45%, and the highest one is minus 48%. So how can we start? What will be the base case scenario? The base case scenario. So the best case scenario can easily be taken by taking the average. The average is 46. Let's put here 46 as the base case scenario or the management case scenario. 46 present. Of course, it is everything is present here. Everything we write is present. All right. So if the base case is 46, and then let's take the best case 45, because if the OPEX is if the COGS is less, that means it's the best. So the worst case scenario, let's make 47 because it has been decreasing. So we can make it 48, but from the trend you see here, from 48 it came to 46 and then 45. But in the worst case scenario, it may go back to 47, not necessarily 48. So yeah, so we can consider this as our best case, 45%, 46 as best case, and worst case 47. All right. So we can simply fill up for 5 years. It will be the same for all 5 years. And now let's come to here and let's find the best case scenario in this case. We take the average of 3 years, which is 39.5%. So 39 will be our average or our base case scenario to hypothesize for our future performance. So in the same manner, try to make this whole present. This is gonna be 39%. Okay. So if the base case is 39%, what will be the best case and the worst case? As you see here, the least one is 35%. The maximum one is 42%. 42%. So we we want the lowest OPEX to be the best, or we consider the lowest percent OPEX as percent of revenue as the best case. So let's consider 35 as the best case and 41 as the worst case. Yeah, and then this is gonna be the same for all years. So in this way, we build our hard inputs for our dynamic financial modeling. I change the color for this one. I go here and then let's make this, and then in the same manner, these are our hard inputs for financial modeling, for our future financial modeling. So this is just our hypothesis based on our historical data. I hope you have learned something new. We will work on the remaining section in the coming video. Thank you for your time.